of you guys are maybe still out there struggling when it comes to shooting. No matter if you're on a small guard, a big guard, or a 7-footer, or a 6'10", there's going to be a jump shot in this video, or even a base or a release that can work for you to end up figuring out the best jump shot that fits you. And we'll be playing with so many different type of builds with low 3-point ratings, with high 3-point ratings, from 6-footers to 7-footers. I have to know my jump shot. In the last jump shot video, I gave you basically of a spreadsheet of basically the best bases in the game with some of the best dribble pull-ups in the game with the best jump shots. Now today I'm going to be doing the same thing. For the pull-ups, we have Pro 2 from 2K24. It still works the same. You can use this on any build that's under 6'10". So if you want a 6'9" build, you can use this at 5'9", you can. The next dribble pull-up is normal 2 dribble pull-up. Normal 2 dribble pull-up is maybe one of the best dribble pull-ups in the game. A lot of people like it, especially if they're on a bigger build, even if they're on a small guard. But I've been hearing a lot of people enjoying normal 2 on a bigger player. And then we have normal dribble pull-up. Now normal dribble pull-up is in the top 3. As a Pro 2, normal 2, and normal is up there with the top 3 of the best dribble pull-ups that you use in NBA 2K25. Then you have Kevin Durant. If you're on a build that's mostly like a 6'10" or something like that, I know you can use it at 6'5", but I would recommend you use this at 6'10" with the normal 2 actual dribble pull-up. Or if you want to try something else, you can try Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki dribble pull-up is also well for anybody that's on a bigger build like the 7-footers. And then Andrew Wiggins. A lot of people want to sleep on Andrew Wiggins. He got a good little pull-up. One of his animations are kind of janky, but it's very easy to stay away from that animation. You just got to make sure you actually get a side fade when it comes to that. And like I said earlier in today's video, I'll be giving you the best bases and the best releases in NBA 2K25. And we're going to start with the small guards. Or the first one is going to be Kyrie Irving base. One of the best bases in the game. Kyrie Irving jump shot was good last year. It just was overshadowed with the Patty Mills, the Stephen Currys, and things like that, even the John Walls. Then we have some new bases like Kira Lewis Jr. Kira Lewis Jr. is a great base. I'm gonna be honest, it's somewhat like the Cam Thomas. It's very similar to Cam Thomas base. It's just a little bit different. It got the same jump elevation all you want. So if you want a quick base, make sure you try out Kira Lewis Jr. But Allen Iverson is literally T-Mac for guards. T-Mac base, Allen Iverson, this is literally all the same thing just for small guards. If you're under 6'5", you can get this base. Allen Iverson base is literally going to be the T-Mac for guards. Now the next one is Ja Morant. A lot of people might sleep on Ja Morant, but Ja Morant base this year is actually nice. If you got a low 3-point rating, even though you can have like around like an 84 or 83, this base right here is one of those ones you want to actually test out. And one you might not be familiar with is Jacoby Walter. This is literally JT Thor for guards. If you remember JT Thor or Ben Shepherd, this is the JT Thor for guards. Kobe Walter is literally the one that literally looks like JT Thor from NBA 2K24, and it's very easy to time as well. Then you have Kyle Lowry. This is the one I've been messing around with. I'm gonna be honest. So my little guard, I went from Cam Thomas to Kyle Lowry, but with me changing to Kyle Lowry, it's literally an easy jump shot to actually see. Like when it comes to the visual cue, putting Kyle Lowry in your base and finding some good releases, it's one of the best ones to me to actually use after Cam Thomas. But you got Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry base, if you got that 92 3-point rating, it's not bad this year. It's still the same. It's a little bit faster than it was last year. Then you have Cam Thomas, which was a good base last year, but it got overshadowed with the Patty Mills and things like that. But this year they end up revamping Cam Thomas jump shot, so he jumps a little bit more, and it's a faster and quicker jump shot usually than other jump shots that you see on this list. Now that I gave you the best bases for small guards from 5'9" all the way to 6'4", now I'm going to end up giving you some of the best releases in NBA 2K25 when it comes to these small builds. Now we have Stephen Curry. Having Stephen Curry in your release from the 1 or 2 is good choices. I preferably put it at the 1, but having it at the 2 is an easy visual cue. Bruce Brown, I prefer you to use Bruce Brown as a secondary release. Bruce Brown is a great secondary release, especially if you got somewhat of like a high arcing shot. Then we got Luka Doncic, one of my favorites. It's one of the easiest visual cues when it comes to using at the secondary actual release. Use Luka Doncic if you want a great visual cue, especially if you got like an Oscar Robertson with it. Then you got Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton is good, same it was last year. Same as using Darius Garland. Colin Sexton and Darius Garland releases are still good. Then you got the Nahshon Highland. This is one a lot of people sleep on. I prefer you to use this as a second release if you're going to use that as an option. Then you got Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is a better second release to me. You can use like Oscar Robertson, Damian Lillard, or you can use Curry and then Damian Lillard release. But you already know Oscar Robertson is the go-to, one of the best releases you can speed up your jump shot with at the 1 or 2. It's just based on your preference. I prefer like using Oscar Robertson at my 2, but hey, it's all preference when you end up using these releases. Then you got Anthony Simon. Anthony Simon is one of those ones I prefer you to use at the 2. It's very smooth, got a good visual cue. Q, then Mike Wang release. Now you can use Mike Wang at the 1, but I prefer you to use Mike Wang at the 2. And it's kind of crazy that a 2K developer jump shot is in the game and it's actually a good jump shot, or actually a good release to use in NBA 2K25. Now that I gave you some of the best releases and best bases in the game and dribble pull-ups, now I gotta give you some of the best jump shots that you can use for a small guard. Now you got Cam Thomas, Stephen Curry, Oscar Robertson. You can switch it if you want to do Curry at 2nd, Oscar Robertson at 1, and end up having, you can do release as the actual visual cue, or you can do how I got it right here. Mess around with the blending. You can do like 43-57 or something like 40-60 when it comes to actually doing blending. But with the jump shot, it's a quick jump shot off the dribble, off the catch and shoot. You can also rhythm shoot with this jump shot. It's just based on if you want to get the rhythm shooting down. I didn't really have problems when it came to rhythm shooting. It is very fast, so you just got to get the hang of it. When it comes off the dribble, it might be hard for you to actually rhythm dribble off of it. When it comes to catch and shoot, you should be cool with it. I'm gonna be honest, it's a cool little catch and shoot. When you actually get a good catch, it'd be green almost every single time once you get the timing down. Then we got Allen Iverson. I showed y'all this jump shot in the last video. Allen Iverson, if you like using T-Mac base and use somebody who's on a 6'8 or a 6'7 or even a 6'6 and use T-Mac last year and use you on a small guard, use Allen Iverson base, especially if you was good at using T-Mac base. Then you have Jacoby Walter. Now Jacoby Walter, you can put on release or push. You can change this however you want it. I have Cam Thomas as a release, and then I got Oscar Robertson. If you want to change the releases to you're doing, you can, but I was just messing around with a few things. Then you have Kyle Lowry, Oscar Robertson, Luka Doncic. You can end up having this how it is right here, or you can put it on release, but I prefer having it halfway, 35-65 max speed, because with this jump shot right here, what I've been messing around for the last few days, this one is the one for me. I've been messing around with this jump shot, and it's been like, it's literally feel like a Terrence Mann jump shot, but it's very fast. It feels like a Torian Prince mixed with like a Terrence Mann like base. Like it's like a mixture of that type of jump shot, and it's very easy to time, especially when it comes to the visual cue. Like you can end up trying push if you want to, but I'm telling you that in between release and push, that seemed like the best spot for me. But hey, you can try pure release or pure push, or you can go in between and just mess around with it until you feel like it's your liking. Off the catch, off the dribble, I haven't had no problems with this jump shot so far. But for all my people that's on those 6'5 builds all the way to the 6'9s, these are going to be the best bases in NBA 2K25 that you can use on those type of builds. 6'6", 6'7", lockdowns, poppers, ISO builds. You're going to be out here with the Jared Culver, one of the best bases you can use. If you played with T-Mac last year, a lot of people use Jared Culver over T-Mac if they couldn't get it, but this is literally one of the best bases that you can use. Then you have Kobe Bryant. This is more of a spot up jump shot, like your lockdown, popper, things like that. I would say rock out with the Kobe Bryant. That's what I've been using on my lockdown. It's a very good base to use. Or you can use Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is a faster base than Kobe. The thing I would tell you to do, make sure you put Gordon Hayward on release. Do not put it on push, put it on release. He has a very fast base. It's somewhat like Jordan Nwora, but it is a very good base to use. Then you got Clyde Drexler, cool little up and down jump shot, somewhat to Kobe, somewhat to like a Scottie Pippen base. Then you got the Jordan Nwora. Jordan Nwora, put it on release. If you use this base, please put this base on release, because if you don't, you're gonna end up shooting a lot of slightly lates with this jump shot base. Then you have J.R. Smith, one of those bases that a lot of people sleep on. It was good last year, it's good this year. I would say I would use this more of a spot up type of actual jump shot, or more of like a catch and shoot jump shot if you're someone that's gonna end up trying this. Possibly you could do it off the ISO, but it's just, you gotta have a decent amount of space if you want to pull up with this jump shot, because it does take a nice little minute off the dribble. Then you got AJ Lawson. AJ Lawson is a good base to use. It's up and down, more of a corner jump shot, more of a catch and shoot jump shot. He does twist his body a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right based on what hand you're shooting with. I would say you can end up trying this if you're a catch and shoot, a popper, things like that. The same thing with Jalen Tyson, one of the new bases they added to the game. It's a cooler up and down. It's a little bit like, I could say somewhat like JT Thor, just a little. You end up finding some good releases with this. You'll be money, especially out the corner, the wing. Even if you were more like the 2-guard, even catch and shoot. Even, I think possibly I would say you could try this as ISO as well. Then with Lamar Odom, a lot of ones want to sleep on this, especially for my bigs like 6'10 and up. Hey, Lamar Odom, catch and shoot. Popper, catch and shoot. Lockdown, catch and shoot. Lamar Odom is a good base that you can use this year. Just try to find you some releases that can go with this. Lamar Odom, I used that the first week of the game, and it was actually consistent. Then we got Christian Brunn. Christian Brunn is a good one. It's a up and down jump shot. It's not too slow. It's not too fast. Find some good releases, and you will be good as go. And I'm gonna end up giving you some releases as well, so you don't gotta worry about that. Then you got Josh Green. If you remember NBA 2K23 Jimmy Butler jump shot, this is the Jimmy Butler jump shot. It falls away. He shoots the ball, he's gonna fall fall away from the defender when it comes to shooting the ball. Then you got Udonis Haslem. This is more of a player that got a low three-pointer, or you want to end up using this on a big, but you can use this at the 6'6" all the way to 6'9" actual rating. Then for the best releases, you got Charles Bassey. Charles Bassey is one of those releases mostly for the bigs, but it works well, especially for the guards and things like that, all the way to 6'9". I definitely recommend you to try to throw this in your release. You could possibly put this at the 1, but then you got the release that gets used almost the most, the Sadiq Bey at the 1 or 2, based on your preference. You can't go wrong with having Sadiq Bey in your actual release, so I definitely recommend you, if you want to try to put Sadiq Bey in your release. Most people use it at the 1, some people try it at the 2. Then you got Oscar Robertson, like I told y'all, for the small guards. Oscar Robertson is one of the most used releases in the game, so having Oscar Robertson at your 1 and 2 is just based on your preference. But Troy Brown Jr., I prefer you to put Troy Brown Jr. as a secondary release. Troy Brown Jr. as a secondary release is maybe one of the best secondary releases when it comes to these big builds, even you 6'5", 6'6", and things like that. And a new one that we had to end up adding to the spreadsheet is the Julian Champagnie. This is a secondary release. Do not use this as a primary release. I definitely recommend you use this as a second, but I feel like you still not gonna be better than that Troy Brown Jr. But then we got the Luka Doncic. Like I told you, Luka is a better second release to end up throwing in your jump shot if you want to end up having that Oscar Luka. Then you got Rudy Gay. I know some of y'all still loves Rudy Gay jump shot. They did slow it down. They did kind of nerf it, but you can use this as a second release if you want to, but we have better options. Then we got Paul George. Paul George, you can use it at your first release or your second release. I would prefer you to end up making this a primary release because it is very fast if you end up having a nice little cooler second release that you can visually see. Then you got Klay Thompson. I prefer Klay Thompson as a second release. As a first release, it's going to be a little bit too slow, but if you do like an Oscar Klay like kind of mixture, you'll be all right. But Baluba, Mike Wang, like I told you, Mike Wang released this year is one of the best releases that literally everybody's now on the wave, that you can use Mike Wang release and you can have a cool little jump shot versus using like LD2K or Ronnie 2Ks in this game. But when it comes to the jump shots, I told y'all I got y'all with the bases in the releases, but for the jump shots, I'm rocking out with the Jarrett Culver, Oscar Robertson, Troy Brown Jr., 70-30 max speed on push, a slightly past push, but if you don't like it this way, you can end up changing the visual cue if you want to. But for me, this is what I've been messing around with. Literally catch and shoot perfect, especially you're on a lockdown popper, or if you want to end up changing this and put this on a Gordon Hayward base, it's to work the same way. It'll work the same way, it's just more up and down, you don't lean back. But hey, I definitely would recommend you to try this, especially if you're someone that used T-Mac last year. It's literally about the same. Jarrett Culver, T-Mac, then you got Allen Iverson, T-Mac, they're both literally the same releases, just different names, and it's different kind of actual thresholds. Then we got Kobe Bryant Bey, Sadiq Bey, Oscar Robertson. Now this is what I've been using for the last few like days on my lockdown. I've been not going crazy, I think I've been shooting almost about 60% out the corner, 60% out the wing, and just knocking down shots with this actual jump shot. Max speed, halfway on push, halfway on release. But now that I gave you the best releases, the best bases, and some good jump shots that you can use at the 6'5" all the way 6'9" height, I gotta look out for the big man. For my 6'10s to 7'3s, the best bases you can use, Chris Bosh. If you can unlock Chris Bosh, use Chris Bosh base. Andre Drummond is up there as a #1, especially if you got a low 3-point rating, use Andre Drummond. One of the best big man bases that you can use with a low 3-point rating. Andre Drummond is on the top of the list, especially with the spreadsheet we got. Jonathan Isaac, Andre Drummond, you got the David Robinsons. Those bases are literally the top, maybe top 3 bases in the game for those big builds. Then I told y'all earlier about the Lamar Odom. If you want to try it, it's not going to hurt you. It's literally like jump shot 11 mixture, but it's Lamar Odom, and then you find a nice little release with this, you'll be good. But I got some releases that you can end up using, like I said earlier with the David Robinson. David Robinson is up there as a top 3 base in the game to me. David Robinson, especially according to the spreadsheet, David Robinson is definitely a top 3 base, especially for the 7-footers, the 6'10s, and things like that. So I definitely recommend you to use that. Then you got the PJ Washington. PJ Washington base is actually cool. It was somewhat like it was last year, nothing too crazy. But if you got a low 3-point rating and you want to end up using this, I definitely recommend you to end up trying out PJ Washington for your actual base. Then for the last base for the big man, we got Dwayne Dedman. If you're on a low 3-point rating build, you definitely want to end up trying that Dwayne Dedman. Like, even if you're under like the 83 mid-range or 83 3-pointer, definitely try out Dwayne Dedman. For the best releases that you can use for big man builds, 6'10 all the way to 7'3", we got LaMarcus Aldridge. If you got that high 3-point rating, even a decent mid-range rating, I can say decent mid-range rating, at least the 84 to 85, try LaMarcus Aldridge as a release. Marvin Bagley, I prefer you to try out Marvin Bagley as a primary release, kind of similar to Marquise Chris, just a little bit different. If you want to end up using Marquise Chris, try it out. I prefer using Marquise Chris as a primary release. The same thing with Charles Bassey. Use those 2-3 bases I just told y'all as a primary release. But if you feel like you want to use him as secondary, you can. The same thing with Larry Bird. Larry Bird is more of a secondary release unless you want a high arcing shot. If you want a high arcing shot, you're going to put Larry Bird as a primary release, the same thing you would do with Dirk Nowitzki. Those would be releases that give you elevated jump shot. If for a new release that we add to the spreadsheet is Nick Claxton, you can end up using this as a primary release. It's a cool release that you can end up trying out, especially when you blend it with all these other releases. You'll be cool with this, especially as primary. Then you got Tim Duncan. You can use Timmy D at the 1 or the 2 release. Tim Duncan, it's just based on how you put these together. You can use it at the 1 or the 2. Tim Duncan, you can't go wrong. It's a cooler, smooth release that you can use at the 1 or the 2, and you're not going to be able to go wrong with it. Then you got Alex Lynn. Now, Alex Lynn is more preferably a secondary release. Do not use this as a primary release. Secondary release, Alex Lynn, because he got an actually good, like, visual cue when it comes to shooting. Then you got Dirk Nowitzki, like I told you before. You can use Dirk at the 1 or 2 based on if you want elevation in your jump shot, you use Dirk at the 1. If you want it for the release, you end up using it at the 2. But then we got Bobby Portis Jr., BPJ. BPJ, I'm gonna be honest, I like using BPJ release. BPJ and like Julius Randle, those are maybe my 2 favorite releases for big man in NBA 2K25. And if you're able to end up getting Mike Wang jump shot Baluba, you can end up trying that in your release as well. That can be an easy bailout to get you a nice little smooth jump shot, especially on a bigger build that's harder to end up finding good releases, especially how it is now. But for the first jump shot, like I told y'all, that David Robinson, LaMarcus Aldridge, Julius Randle, you could change the primary release if you want to. I'm in between. I have half push, half release, max speed, 25-75. Hey, this jump shot right here is my go-to. On the KD build, on my Wemby build, like any build I usually use that got a decent mid-range, around like the 84 or 85 mid-range, bro, this is the ones I usually use, because I'm gonna be honest, it's green. It's literally green. But for all my guys that got a low 3-point rating, bro, Andre Drummond, Nick Claxton, Jared Jackson Jr., max speed, on release, 45-55. This right here, if you got a low 3-point rating, like a 70, 76, even a 67, like this right here, I'm gonna be honest, you won't be able to knock down, as long as you got the timing down, you got the right jump shots in the zone. Because I use high risk, high reward. Some people might use other things like low risk or even normal. I prefer to use high risk, high reward, green or miss. And also you can use this with the right stick. So if you want to end up rhythm shooting, you can rhythm shoot with this jump shot as well. Same thing with the other jump shots I have shown you. But if y'all boys enjoyed this video, there's a lot of information I gave y'all and it's gonna help you. Make sure y'all boys drop a like on the video. That's first. Also subscribe if you don't miss more videos like this, all this information. Make sure you turn on notifications as well. But if you haven't yet, it's 2 videos on the screen. Make sure y'all go check these videos out if y'all haven't yet, man.